What is going on, Bucs fans and CFP fans? Evan and Wanish here, back at you with another video talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And today we're going to be going over the best and the worst for the Buccaneers Week 9 overtime loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, obviously, being an overtime, hard-fought game for the Buccaneers, right? They were in it till the very end and just didn't quite have enough in this one to break the undefeated streak of the Kansas City Chiefs. Very close, though, but no cigar. But like we always say, though, in a loss, there are positives. In a win, there are negatives. So let's get right into the positives here. We're going to start off with Sterling Shepard. Shepard had 4 catches for 48 yards. He also had 2 rushes for 21 yards, and he was pretty effective in this game. Had a nice catch really down the stretch, too, like an acrobatic catch almost on a ball that was a little bit not where Baker Mayfield wanted it to be, but Shepard was still able to make the catch. And Shepard continues to show that like he's a useful veteran in this offense, and he's a valuable piece. And with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin out, they needed somebody to step up, and Shepard has done that, I think. Another guy that stepped up is going to be leading into a segue into our other positive on offense. It's Cade Otton. And look, I would argue, he's probably stepped up the most ever since, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans went down. 8 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown in Kansas City. And we talked about how, the Chiefs defense was prone to giving up some yards at tight ends, and that was no different in this game. Cade Otton found some success, found the end zone again. It's his 3rd touchdown in the last 2 games. So there has been a lot of success for Cade Otton, and it's been important that he stepped up because, again, they had to have somebody step up. Somebody was going to get those targets, somebody going to get those catches, and Cade Otton appears to be that guy. So hopefully he can keep it up, and even when a guy like Mike Evans is back, hopefully that means, Cade Otton can keep this up because it's been nice to see. And he's been up and down, I think, in his career. He's had some good games. He's had some clunkers, but so far this is a really good stretch and probably the best stretch of Cade Otton's career so far. So it's been really positive to see, and again, something that the Buccaneers offense has needed. And I didn't think the Bucs offense played particularly bad against Kansas City, especially given the circumstances, being without Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, also being without Jalen McMillan. I think that didn't help either. So I did like what I saw out of the offense, and Cade Otton in particular, I think, made a big impact there. Moving on to the defensive side of the football, another game where I didn't think the defense got gashed like they did against like Atlanta or Baltimore, but like they weren't great. But again, there still was some positives. So we're actually going to go along the defensive line for both of these, and we're going to talk about Calijah Kancey. Had 2 tackles, but those 2 tackles were 2 sacks, and that's always being effective there. Kancey continues to make an impact, and I still like Kancey's potential, especially in this defense. I think he can still turn out to be a good player. It's only year 2 for Calijah Kancey, so I do like what I've seen out of him so far, and I think that there's a chance there that there's another level to Calijah Kancey's game, and he had a good showing in Kansas City. The other guy we're going to talk about is Big Vita Vea. 10 tackles. 10 total tackles for Vita Vea, including 2 sacks. So double-digit tackles there, including 2 sacks. Vita Vea was all over the place on Monday night, and he continued to show why he's one of the better defensive linemen in the NFL. He's this team's best defensive lineman, clearly. And Vita Vea was all over the place on Monday night. It was good to see a vintage Vita Vea game there against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So that was pretty cool. But double-digit tackles for a defensive lineman, that's pretty impressive, and that's something that I think Vita Vea can hang his hat on. Obviously he wants to win, but I think that's something you can hang your hat on and say, look, that was a really, really strong game from Vita Vea. So I do like what I saw out of him. Now, let's move on to the negatives, and we're going to talk first about KJ Brit. And I know I don't want to kick him out while he's down, right? I really don't, but we've talked about KJ Brit a lot, right? And it's been this whole season, really. It's been a season to forget for KJ Brit, and it's been tough sledding so far, being opposite Lavonte David, having that role now of the other starting linebacker. And Brit just hasn't really been able to live up to the task, especially in pass coverage. And it was really no different on Monday night. The Bucs, I Bleav, actually subbed out KJ Brit a few times for J.J. Russell. So it was interesting to see how they are going to do that moving forward, I think. I think that's going to be something to see. Is KJ Brit going to be like the full-time starter, or is it going to be like, look, like we're going to put Russell in, we're going to put V. Jones in, like we're going to try a bunch of different stuff, right? I'm curious to see how that works. But 9 total tackles for Brit. But again, it was that lapse in coverage, right, over the middle of the field that I think the Buccaneers have been really struggling with, especially with the tight end position. Travis Kelce had a bunch of catches in soft zones over the middle of the field on Monday night, and I think Brit had a lot to do with that. Was it all on him? No, it wasn't, but I do think he has struggled in coverage, and it continued on Monday night. The other player we're going to mention is Josh Hayes. And look, Josh Hayes was put into a tough spot, okay? I'm not saying that the circumstances were perfect. Tyreek Funderburk hasn't really worked out for the Buccaneers. They tried something different by throwing Josh Hayes in there, and it was sort of more of the same, right? The Chiefs picked on Hayes, allowed a touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins, allowed a couple other receptions to Hopkins. Hopkins had a pretty big day, and Hayes wasn't on Hopkins like the entire game, but it seemed like every time Hopkins made a big play, Hayes was right there. So Josh Hayes, and it was 6 tackles, but definitely his first career start, I Bleav, in the NFL, and one that I think he's going to want to learn from, but also sort of forget at the same time, because I do think that, again, he's sort of thrown into the fire. With Funderburk struggling, the Buccaneers wanted to do something different on defense, opposite of Zion McCollum there. It just didn't really work out. And the last I'm going to mention is Todd Bowles. Now, I haven't been as critical of Bowles as others have for the decision to not go for 2 at the end of the game there. I do understand why people would say go for 2, but I also understand that, look, with the way that the Bucs defense is, maybe you were hoping that, well, the Chiefs wouldn't be able to see the field in overtime. So I get both sides of the coin. However, it does come back to the aggressiveness part and trying to win football games, and just not sure if you saw that on Monday night. Not sure if you saw a coach that really had full faith in his team, had his players ready to play, and really again it's a defense that is just consistently underwhelming, and the Chiefs were really good on third down. The Bucs could knock it off the field. That's on the defensive guy, right? And the defensive guy is the head coach. So I do think Todd Bowles had a rough night again. Like I said, the decision to not go for 2 there at the end does also matter. I mean, I would personally probably have gone for it, but I didn't hate the decision to necessarily kick it there. But again, his explanation was, well, the field conditions. But it doesn't make much sense, because the field conditions, you would have been playing in overtime in the same conditions. So why not just try one play to take the lead, and hopefully your defense gets a stop? But alas, that is not how it went. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who was your most impressive and disappointing in this game? Very curious to hear. But thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And go Bucs.